Hello, Raj. Hello, Raj. Hello.
Am I audible, Sohan? Can you?
Yes, Raj.
Yeah, Sohan, am I audible?
Yes, Raj.
Thank you. Let's wait for 5 minutes before starting today's webinar.
Yes.
Team, we are starting in next 5 minutes. We'll wait for 5 minutes and we'll start. Thank you for joining. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Raj.
Okay. So, team, thank you for joining. I guess we can start now. So thank you everyone for joining today's webinar on cybersecurity practices for your organization. This webinar is supported by ESDS and SPOCHUB. So what is SPOCHUB and what ESDS do, we'll try to cover in the first few slides, and then we'll move on to the today's topic, that is the cybersecurity practices for your organization. So when it comes to overall cybersecurity frameworks currently in the organization and external factors which affect that framework, there are many practices that every organization should follow, and some of them are really costly affair for the some organizations. So which practice to prioritize, and which to cover in the longer run, and what are the options available in the market from the organizations like ESDS. So we will discuss about that in this particular session. So myself, Raj Gire, I take care of the products in the ESDS. I'll be the presenter for this session today. Sohan, can you mute yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll be your presenter in today's session, and we'll be presenting more onto the cybersecurity practices for your organization. So moving ahead. So about ESDS, ESDS is currently the most trusted cloud service provider in the industry. We have our own in-house team or R&D team for our innovative technology. And we came up with the patented vertical auto-scaling cloud technology in India. We got a patent from the UK, US, and India for this technology. There are multiple products that we offer, which are the value added apart from the cloud services that we provide. Namely at Inlight 360-degree Vtm Scan. So there are cyber security or the security product portfolio also we provide to the customer. Apart from that, when we're talking about the clientele of the ESDS, it is spread across multiple industries, including banks, government, telecommunication, defense, and manufacturing. So this is the overall coverage of the ESDS. When it comes to the certifications and acknowledgement, so ESDS is one of the top 3 in a commercial data center which is having a valid uptime institute Tier 3 certification. It also has one of the empaneled cloud service provider for the central government MIT empanelment. We are also STQC audited for infrastructure on the government community solutions, because we provide multiple services to the government and multiple critical infrastructure of government running from the data center of the ESDS and Enlight Cloud. Enlight Cloud is the first patented multi-dimensional auto-scaling cloud. We got a patent for that, and we are proudly a great place to work, and also CMMI level 5. Customizable solutions we got. And when it comes to the different cloud organizations, so we are the first cloud company with a make a patent cloud in India, which is very unique in nature. So this is an introduction I would like to give for the ESDS. And then when it comes to ESDS portfolio, so we do support multiple industry prominently. When we're talking about the BFSI or enterprises perspective, we cover that into the 3 sections. One is a community cloud, second is a managed services, and third is a SPOCHUB. So SPOCHUB take care of the solution softwares and particularly services. Also the consultation part of some industry like the cybersecurity consultations also, along with the SOC services we provide. So this is brief about our organization. And when it comes to the SPOCHUB, it is we created India's largest digital marketplace when we're talking about any products, any services that you're looking for on a SaaS offering perspective, or when we're talking about the investment, the OPEX part of it, because the CapEx is sometime in the cybersecurity framework or the any security product, licensing cost and everything is huge. And to come up with the idea of the OPEX or the SaaS based offering, so SPOCHUB is one of the platform from where we provide multiple such services. Some of them are named here in this slide, which covers multiple layers of the security aspects, like the encryption or the Vtm scan, which is focusing on to the web applications, virtual VAPT services, which is covering on today your application security, web VPN, which is covering on your access security. So these are the different portfolio we are covering. So we'll get back to this in the end of the session. Let's jump on to the today's session's agenda, which is what are the practices, what are the cybersecurity level threats currently impacting organization, and what are the different practices or the solutions available which can be adapted by this organization. So first, when we're talking about the one of the component, which is the SOC services, which ESDS also covers, and we are proudly, providing SOC services to more than 100 plus clients now, and best-in-class SOC services are getting provided from the ESDS for the same. Now, when it comes to the different aspects of the SOC services and SPOCHUB services portfolio, which I just mentioned, the bank perspective, we provide banking red teaming or the dark web mining, defense security enablement, CISOC enablement, advisory part of it, banking, purple teaming. All these aspects are covered in the bank perspective. So this all getting covered under our service portfolio. Now, when it comes to any organization, not only bank, so what are those areas which organizations should focus on? And what are those gateways we can call? Because end of the day, when we're talking about any cyber security attack, it is mostly focused on organization reputation, organization value, ransomware attacks, where the hackers can demand for the hacking or ransomware cost for it. So it is more towards the threat to the organization, either on the reputation side or a financial side. So how cybersecurity practices can help organization, and which are those? So let's understand when it comes to a different level through which these attacks happen. So there are multiple levels. There are multiple gateways through which attackers enter into your organization or your framework. So there are, particularly when we're talking about part of the security, it's a first gateway level. So gateway level is more about the entry points, right? So in organization, if you see, there are multiple external facing applications or services like email. So email goes out of your network, come to your network, and it is a very much potential entry point for most of the attacks, from where you clicked on one link which came by the email with the authentic or you consider that is an authentic sender, and you clicked on it, you downloaded some file. So that is one of the way where attacker reach to you or your environment. So email level security is very much important. So that is one of the gateway through which it can enter into your organization. It can affect your overall security portfolio, and different types of ransomware attacks and everything can be performed through this. So that is one. Second is a web application security, because end of the day, when we're talking about any organization having websites hosted with them, hosted with third party, and their applications or their portals, which are open in a public domain, which can be accessible over the internet. Like for example, for our organization, it's esdays.co.in, it's our website, uh, through which if attackers want to do any kind of attack, there are multiple attacks. We will see in details which type of attacks those organization can face based on to the current trend. But these attacks or this portfolio or platform is available 24/7 365, because your website will be there all the time. So hackers has multiple chances to exploit, to check what level of vulnerabilities can be exploit is detected. First it will try to do the assessment part of it, understand which are the vulnerabilities, and then based on that, it will try to exploit those vulnerabilities, right? So that is one of the component which each organization should definitely look. These are the gateway level component. Then the intrusion prevention, DDoS prevention. So these are the most towards the, how authentication, I mean, your users are actually getting authenticated. There can be a multi-level of the security for accessing your infrastructure. What are the different practices that you can do with a different solution like IPAM and others? So that will get covered under this. DDoS prevention is more towards when the DDoS attacks happen. What is DDoS attacks? It's more towards understanding uh, different level of, like for example, it's a distributed denial of service attack. So what happened? It's different bots are used to or group of internet connected devices actually infected with the viruses try to harness and perform many kinds of attacks. So multiple IPs from multiple devices, it will try to reach to your network device or your system, and in order to paralyze, because what happened, suddenly the load increasing on your application, for example with the DDoS attacks where multiple connection requests are coming, and because of that you're not able to access your application because it is already handling so many requests, right? So that is the one way of attack where hackers or controller will sit at the back and they will provide a complete they plan the complete attack and then it will be targeted attack. So this can be avoided. This is one of the way your gateway level security need to be improvised. Next gen firewalls, because now the firewalls are very much important or critical component of your cyber security framework. So that how that can be adapted, that can be utilized. So that is also one way, because the firewall through only entire traffic will flow in and out. So you have to make sure that your firewalls are pretty strong in terms of the different level of the security component enabled in it, and what are those, we will try to cover that in the next few slides. DNS security is also one of the component which need to be performed. So this is a gateway level which is more towards the what we can say, the external facing and the gateways through which the most of the threats affects. Then second is the endpoint. So understand once it is entering, or particularly any applications, anything enter into your environment is affecting your endpoints, your end users, or it can be from endpoints. So any users connecting any USB to your devices, or downloading or uploading any kind of malicious file without the knowledge, that can be a threat to your system. So this is also need to be protected. So endpoint security is very much important, where endpoint encryption, MDM is a mobile device management, patching management. You need to get updated version of your softwares and OS, which need to be updated time to time for your endpoints. And this is very much important to maintain the security posture of your environment. So all these server level or endpoint level encryptions need to be updated, keep on updating, keep on checking. So or the particularly when we're talking about the endpoint security perspective, so remotely your IT team able to handle multiple thousands of desktops and endpoints which are part of your network, right? So that security is component is also very much important. So gateway level, endpoint level. Third is the data level. So when it comes to the encryption part of it, like for example, most of the organization, worried about their data, because end of the day now the business or the value is always about the data which your organization carrying. There are different level of data, the critical one, one into the operational perspective. So how you can protect in the banking perspective, if we talk, or the any enterprises or manufacturing, or any pharmacy, pharma company, for example. So they are having a critical data in terms of the patents for the pharma, in banking, the transactional or financial data. So type of the data changes, but end of the day, it's all digital data, which is actually getting stored somewhere. And people are working daily. The authenticated users are working on this. So you need to make sure there is no data loss. So DLP is more onto the focusing on the data loss prevention. So endpoint DLP, where it will be checking onto the data loss prevention at the endpoint level. Network DLP, it will be checking network level, like there should not be any in transaction data loss should not be there. Data encryption, so if data is moving from one place to other place or in transaction, it should be encrypted and decrypted again. So that encryption technology that should be adapted. Then data protection compliances, so different protection compliances are there for the data that can be utilized. Data tokenization, classification, governance. So these are the components which needed for any organization to adapt for making sure their data level security posture is maintained. Fourth is a compliance level. Compliances, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Raj.
So fourth is the compliance level. Compliances is more towards the different level of compliances applicable for your organization. So most of the time, what happened when it comes to, I'll just give more example towards the banking because that is a very prominent vertical which need to follow multiple compliances. In the banking, they have the PCI DSS compliances. They also have compliances from the RBI, compliances from the CERTIN. So on any organization, any public facing organization also, now the CERTIN has asked for most of the service provider from the cloud or the VPN service provider to maintain the data for their users for the five years at least. Now understand this data need to be again localized. Mean the data of Indian users need to be localized in India only. So this is one of the compliances they have to follow, right? Same way the application level like VAPT. So most of the cases in the RBI also ask, or the compliances by the certain directions are also there. Like uh, organization need to do VAPT regularly, so that VAPT of their application, which I mentioned in the gateway level. So you need to check the web application security, maintain it at the highest level possible. That is the way to protect your organization applications or overall security posture. So these compliances actually help you not for the sake of just certification or the paperwork. It is actually help you to assess your organizational security posture and make sure if there are any gaps. So that should be prioritized and complied to any compliances expectations. So there are multiple compliances like the application security level or the vulnerability assessment level with that we cover. And when it comes to SPOCUB and ESDs also, we also provide these services to our multiple organization on-prem as well as hosting perspective also. So red teaming, vulnerability assessment, application assessment, compliance assessment, like the ISO is also one of the compliances which most of the organization need to adapt to ISO 27000. So that security compliance also can be covered under this particular section. So understand compliances uh, irrespective of type of organization you have to follow basic security compliances, and that will be covered under this. So coming to the fifth one, which is onto the cyber security level. So cyber security level, there are multiple services which can be adapted. Now, when I mentioned there are multiple solutions which can be adapted as a service. You don't need to invest into the capex most of the time. If you, for example, first one, the SIEM as a service, if you go with SIEM as a complete deployment and dedicated deployment, the licensing cost and everything may not be considered as a highest level priority based on to the again organization type. So SIEM as a service is a very good options which can be adapted where you will be getting SIEM services for your critical infrastructure, and that can be completely supported with a dedicated security team for their advices, their consultations, and reports which are coming from the system. So SIEM as a service is a very good options which can be adapted by the organizations. Security analytics platforms. Then the SOAR is again the advanced SIEM part of it. Then anti-APT that is more towards the the prevention. The cyber range, dark web feeds. Now most of the time, what happened? The organization don't know which data of their organization currently in the market. People are selling it or getting it, or currently in or exposed to the dark web. So most of this checking or this kind of data exchange happened in the dark web. And if you need to check what level of your data is currently exposed or being being financially utilized. So you need to understand your dark web feed for your organizations also. So that is also one of the security level if required. Again, depending upon type of organization, it can be explored. Then brand monitoring. Now, when it comes to overall organizations, uh, now if you observe in 2022, when it comes to different level of COVID sanction, lockdown, and everything happened before 22, like 20 and 2019. In this period, if you observe, attacks on multiple banks, multiple food industry company, and healthcare systems happened, right? The biggest attack happened on with the WannaCry ransomware on NHS, and the entire British health system was attacked. So, or also no, the attack onto the US gas pipelines, which are the again energy sector. So, if you see the energy sector, the medical or the health sector or the food sector, why these are getting this kind of organization getting attacked? Because ransomware attack or any kind of attack, they can end up into the huge ransomware money out of that, right? And that is agenda and also reputation, because reputation of this prestigious organization, if there is attack happened. And just example, if any national organization of government of India website got get hacked, so there will be a message from the hackers on the website. Why? Because it is actually demolishing the brand value or the security part of it. So it is actually reducing the trust on that particular organization due to the reputation loss. It can end up into. So it's not always the data level or anything. It can be a reputation level attack also. So brand monitoring is very much when the organization need to maintain the reputations across multiple environment, and they need to check time to time their reputation. Like for example, in the banking sector, uh, most of the similar looking domains getting registered, and that getting utilized for the attacks, where the banking users getting a SMS with the similar looking link of their banks, and they clicking on it. So it is a kind of affecting the overall brand trust, right? So that is also need to check. And for that, the phishing, we call it phishing attacks, and how the phishing attack can be checked, we will see in the next few slides also. This is about the cybersecurity level. Then the last one is the identity level. Now you need to understand end of the day which users of your organizations are authentic user. How you can authenticate user? Because if, for example, today Raj Giri is accessing any of the critical infrastructure of our organization with the credentials provided to me, if I gave my credentials to any other user, or it got stolen, and that user is again accessing the same system, will detect, okay, Raj is accessing this particular application. But how you can make sure it is Raj only? So zero trust applications or the identity access management or single sign-on, these are the different, or MFA, which is being used in most of the BFSI, as well as most of the enterprise organization adapted to MFA for their application security. So this security services, which are very easy to adapt, can be utilized by any organization. So if your applications currently, if you are running any web application in your organization, and that application is not protected apart from just the credentials provided for that application. There is no second level of the security like the OTP base or any QR base. So you need to have that second layer. That is a multi-factor authentication where you will be providing multiple factors to authenticate that user. Then the privilege access management, risk-based authentication, and passwordless solution. That is a future where banking sector is also adapting to the passwordless solutions, where user don't need to put any password. If there will not be any password, it is always a system generated, then there is less chances of getting it mishandled or stolen, considering your user base can be varying between the different age group and different literacy cyber security level literacy. So you need to make sure how you can reduce the dependency on the user and increase it onto the system side. So that can be one of the trend you can see in upcoming era, where it will be more focused onto the passwordless solution than the password base. But in password base, in current solutions, as I mentioned, above all these different aspects you can utilize, and that can be definitely utilized. So these are the overall when it comes to the cyber security posture, these things you need to make sure it should be protected at gateway level, endpoint level, data level, compliance level, then the cyber security level and identity level. Now it will vary what level of adaptation is possible for the organization, depending upon the budget, depending upon the different aspects of expectation from the end user. But it will be overall between this all 6 pillars. Okay, coming to the next type of cyber security. So when it comes to overall security in the organization, prominently it is divided into these 5, where it will be the application level, cloud level, because most of the organization now adapting to the cloud and they already moved to the cloud. So I'm just considering the cloud is also very much important, either for your application SaaS based, or it can be hosted by your organization, or you are utilizing any SaaS based third party application, but end of the day it will be running from the cloud. Critical infra security on your prem, or if you are hosting it any other third party data center, DR, the business continuity, all this will be part of the critical infra security. Then the IoT security. Now most of the manufacturing and the other organizations are already moving towards the IoT. They are adapted to most of the IoT solutions. So IoT, understand when it comes to IoT solution, you are actually creating a vast, a blanket where you are spreading across, and your devices are connecting centrally uh, through your gateway, and particularly it is kind of you are virtually increasing network or exposure area for your organization, and that can be one of the threat if it is not secure end of the day. So how you can maintain the internet of things security, that is also very much important, because it will be collecting, storing the information, like for example uh, uh, personal name, age, location, health data, or if your manufacturing industry, it will be related to your machine data, their health, temperature, power consumption, everything. So understand these components are very much important when it comes to this data should not leak, right? And you need to maintain security at the data transaction level, as well as data when it will be particularly on the uh, reside level. Yes. Then the fifth one is a network security, which is more focusing on to the your network level security, and it is as I mentioned, it can be identity access control, firewalls, VPN services, two-factor authentication. These are the components which can help you to maintain the network level security. And when it comes to the different level, like there is a virtual or the software defined network, physical network, and also different level of the hardwares you are consuming in your environment. What level of security patching is happening with that hardware? Are those hardware, those OEM hardware, are secure or not? Because if you see most of the prominent OEMs currently in market, they are coming out with the regular updates. Some of them don't come for the it's a particular make and model, and you need to understand what vulnerability it can create in your environment, right? So the base part of this, because you cannot check each and every component in person, because for that you need to have tools and services in place. If you need to check application level security or your cloud service provider security or network level security, you need to know what tools, what services can be utilized for covering this particular security assessment. So that is our next part, where which tools and services which you can utilize. So coming to this, so cybersecurity in 2022, I'm considering this because when it comes to different tools, services available in the market which can be adapted, it's all listed over here. So you can see when it comes to 2022, the focus area is more onto the AI ML base. The second is different types of attack happening through the mobile, so mobile hacking, distributed cloud technology. So what happened? Like most of the organization already moving to the cloud. Now the cloud service provider know if they centralizedly store the data in a centralized storage, obviously it's going to affect or the hackers has a upper hand while impacting the business or the cloud services. So cloud service providers also adapting to the distributed cloud, where they will be not storing data at one location but multiple locations under multiple copies. So chances of affecting everything at the same time is very much less, and it is more protective in nature and also secured in nature. So distributed cloud or technology where service provider or organization also keeping the data across multiple physical locations. So that is covered in third. Then the fourth is the targeted ransomware attacks. Most of the organization currently in 2022 focused or face these challenges, that ransomware attacks happening on the organization in targeted way. So that also you need to understand what can be the protecting layer for this, which are the services which you can consider for reducing any kind of ransomware attacks, and how you can come up out of this. So if the ransomware attacks happen also, if we have a strong BCP policies in place, backup services in place, and different level of multi-layer protection copies of your critical data, then there will not be any level of worry about that particular attack. It can be bypassed, and particularly your services can be up in time without affecting, or the businesses without affecting with the ransomware attack. So you need to prepare for this kind of attack, and that services, because this is the very much in place in 2022 is the highest ransomware attacks happened in the world, and that is one of the critical area which should be protected. Fifth one is the country-backed cyber attacks. This mostly affecting the government and the banking or the critical infrastructure of that country, where the one country is attacking other country, which we recently saw in Ukraine-Russia war, where the Ukraine cyber, when we're talking about hackers, attacks Russian infrastructure, same way from the Russia to Ukraine. Understand before physical attacks happened on ground, any attacks or any one bullet fired, these cyber attacks were triggered before doing actual war. These cyber attacks were triggered because this affected the entire, or this can affect the entire economy when launch it over the nationalized bank or all the banking sector of the opposite country. So being the organization which is in critical infrastructure for your country, if that is the case, it has to be protected. There are multiple guidelines by the CERT, what practices need to be followed, which can reduce or the chances of the attacks, and safely protect your organization security posture. So that part, I guess, we as an organization, you need to assess and consider that under the head. So coming to the point number 6, which is the rollout of 5G technology. Now organization know, and we are already in the era of 4G is already over, and now we are moving to the 5G. In 5G, it is very much flexible, because you don't know actually what will be the consequences when it comes to the highest level of speed, and security level is also need to be adapt to that particular processing power which 5G will bring into the world. So this particular section is more onto the covering the different aspects of attack, which can be a potential with the 5G technology, and that kind of attacks need to be considered for the protection. So this is one of the area in 2022 you should look for. Now coming to the table which is in front of you on a screen, which is related to different uh, tools or the certification or type of metrics which are there, which can be utilized for different level of protection. So you can go through it. It is more, I'll just cover few of them, like some of the tools like the VPN. So virtual private network. Most of the time, the organization adapt to the VPN services such as your SSL VPN, where IPsec tunnel is created across network, and you are remotely, your users are in the field over the internet. They are connecting with the your network. It's kind of you are extending your internal network to the user outside your environment, right? Through the virtual private network. So it is a secure tunnel that you are creating. But the threat to this, when it comes to VPN is also create, again, as I mentioned, you are extending the exposure for attacks. End of the day, you are creating more users connections, or you're spreading your network beyond your physical limit, and attackers, or if that need to be exploited, or that will be exploited from that IP provided or assigned to that particular user through the VPN, he can able to access entire network. Okay, so like the traditional method of the SSL VPN, the entire network is accessible, right? Because you are just extending your network. Overcome the next level of this VPN services, which is alternative to this SSL VPN, if it is related to your web applications, or you need to provide RDP access to your users. So this can be avoided, and you don't need to utilize SSL VPN. You can go with web VPN. Web VPN is a browser-based VPN through which users can connect with your critical infrastructure and only have access to that infrastructure or that web application, not the entire network. So that is a difference between the SSL VPN and web VPN, which can be covered in this particular section. SIEM and the SOAR is more onto the the security information and event management. So when it comes to organization, need to understand what are the different level of the security events happening in their environment. Just example I will give, like one rule is there from the Microsoft security. If, like for example, from one machine, one user attempted to log in at least 3-4 times without right password, like right credentials, so can we consider that as a one of the potential threat or event? Yes, that is a one of the rule, where multiple false attempt happened, wrong credentials are provided, so that will be considered as a one of the potential threat, right? So SIEM can detect this kind of, this is just a very small example, but there are much more advanced rules, or the different level of events it can be detected with the SIEM for your critical infrastructure, for your organization network security, and which can be adapted by the organization. So these tools are very much important. Again, you having a particularly any web application. So obviously it is internet facing, which I mentioned. It is one of the gateway through which any hackers can attack or enter. So to protect that web application, you should have WAF. WAF is a web application firewall. I hope it is visible. So WAF is more towards protecting your application against any kind of potential vulnerabilities, attacks, and what can be exploited. So WAF how WAF will know what to protect? For that, you need to do the assessment of your web application, right? You need to understand what are the loopholes, what are the vulnerabilities available or currently there in your web application, which you need to fix. But before fixing, meanwhile, you can protect it with the WAF, right? Like for example, if any particular web applications, link can be exploited with the SQL attacks, and you need to protect that. Or particularly any web applications is accessible, or directory is accessible, but you should avoid that access from the external. So you can mention those, or define those rules. We call it virtual patching, which can be, I mean, the assessment code can be utilized for the virtual patching in the web, and that can protect that particular application from such traffic or such request. So when it comes to different level of accessibility, like privilege access management, where the user has limited access, or particularly your access can be managed for the user. 2FA, SSO. So these 2FA and SSO, PAM, all these services are related to the access, or same way with the multi-factor or zero trust network access. All these are part of the user. If you see why this many of accessibility, because most of the attacks of organization happen either through their internal users, and not the particularly because of any motivation or anything, but it's more towards the uh, cyber security level literacy is low, or their stolen password or stolen credentials, and or level of the knowledge about what can be exploited because of their different practices they follow, like saving the password in or storing it somewhere, writing it down, and whatever it may be. So you need to have this basic level of security, which can be a system generated and system protected, which can be utilized for your organization. So these are the tools and services. There are many for the cloud, or the antivirus, or the endpoint detection and response, XDR. These are can be utilized in tools perspective. Then there are multiple standards, frameworks, which are there, which can be utilized. The services like the uh, NOC services, identity and access management, IAM, then the particularly MDR, managed detection and the response. These services can be utilized. Then there are the certifications. So organizations cannot have their own cybersecurity team unless it is very critical component of their infrastructure. But they can definitely utilize the experts as a consultant or as a service provider, which will take care of the security of their organization, right? So these are the certified different certifications that these consultants or this service provider should carry, like the critical or certified ethical hackers, or certified information security manager, same CISA, or particularly when we're talking about the a different level of the security system certifications. So this can be adapted by the organization. Either their users can be certified or get a certification, work on it, understand the technology, or you can directly take the service from the actual certified experts. So this type of services also, when it comes, ESDS has a network of this kind of, and our own payroll also. From the SOC perspective, we are providing these services. Apart from that, when it comes to different level of certifications, or sorry, metrics that client need to follow, or the type of the frameworks that they need to follow, like the ISO or the PCI DSS, or the HIPAA compliances, NIST compliances, GDPR. These compliances are also interlinked either with the certification component, where there's third party consultant will take care of your HIPAA or ISO compliances for your organization. They will guide you to reach there, how you can acquire the ISO 27000 plus certification for your organization, to make sure the compliances are met. This can be done either through the third-party certified service provider, and also along with that, you can utilize the tools. The tools has the capability to check if your compliances are in place or not. So after doing the certification, if you need to down the line, you need to make sure changes that you are doing in your infrastructure not affecting the compliances for the next round. So that can be checked with the tools. Tools also has a capability to check the compliances against, like, for example, GDPR, HIPAA, ISO, PCI DSS example. So these are the things which you need to make sure covered into the cybersecurity component and posture. And any particular query that you have, you can definitely put it into the chat. We'll try to cover those in the next few slides before concluding today's session. I hope you got the idea about which framework, which technology which can be adapted, what are the areas which you should focus on, which are the trends in 2022 for considering the type of attacks are happening. And when it comes to different level of security component which I just mentioned, for that we also have a different level of offerings in SPOCHUB platform, as well as we provide third party solutions which are very prominent in the environment or the industry. So all these services and so component are getting covered through the SPOCHUB services. So some of them, like the Vtm Scan, I would like to mention, because in today's webinar we have promised to provide you one certifications or what we can say, the assessment report, the scan report for your web applications. So that will be completely taken out from the Vtm Scan service, which is one of the services that ESGS provide. And when it comes to the Vtm Scan, if you see, Vtm Scan do complete assessment of your web application, your public application, public domain, against all these features. So what it does actually, just a minute. Yeah. So what it does actually, it covers the particularly different types of attacks audit, like OWASP top 10. So what is OWASP top 10? It's basically each year, or after some years, like 21 was the last list. Before that it was 2017. So 2021 we got a new OWASP top 10, from where particularly I'll just try to show that also, just a minute. I hope, just let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, Rajesh.
Okay. So these are the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities which I am talking about. In 2017, these were the vulnerabilities which were there, which are very prominent in nature, in organization which were getting attacked with these vulnerabilities, which were in 2017. Some of the vulnerabilities are still there and some are new, added in 2021. So our Vtm Scan assess your particular web applications against all these vulnerabilities, like SQL injections, or there can be security misconfigurations, vulnerability outdated and components, or some of the new, like server side request forgery, SSRF, or the particularly software and data integrity failures, insecure designs in your environment or your web application. And these are getting updated by the OWASP time to time, and this is the global data. So this level of protection, or particularly assessment, is also covered through our Vtm Scan. Now I'll reshare the presentation. Just a minute. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. So OWASP top 10 is one of that. Then we also do the malware scanning for your web application, banner grabbing, where, as I mentioned, some of the things which need to be there, right? Like, for example, if it is web application, it should be protected with a WAF. So WAF is there or not, it will detect that. It should have the SSL certification, which is valid. So it will check that. if it should have the port which are should not be open, so that will be checked. All these components are checked in this particular scan. You need to understand there are 100 plus parameters Vtm scan will check in your application and will give you the report with the recommendation what is not there, what is there, and what you need to protect. So that help you to understand the overall security of your web application, your website, and it will allow your user, your application team to support and fix those vulnerability which are detected. So that is thing how the VTM scan service works, and I guess most of you already registered. So can we utilize this report for the further assessment? Okay, there are some of the query. Okay, the query is that is it safe to use VPN as most of these players are not complying with the law of land, and is there any alternative? Yes, thank you, Kishore. So the query is all about the currently certain came up with the guideline all the VPN service providers should maintain their user data, and it should be particularly reside in India, right? So it is applicable that users of the India should be protected and their data should be maintained, because VPN is can be utilized for exploit any kind of attack, and this is very much important. Understand what VPN does. VPN actually kind of protect, or it is kind of it will not expose the actual IP of the user, so you will not understand, or you will not get identity of the user who's accessing through that particular VPN, because that request will come from the US server, or it will come from the Europe server, or it will come from the Pakistan server also. You never know, and you need to understand who's a attacker who's actually utilizing this VPN, VPN. So that is need to be protected. So for that, the guideline is provided. Now coming to the organizational VPN. So organization currently utilizing for their in-house users traditional VPN like SSL VPN, right? So in SSL VPN, what happened? I'll just try to cover that in the slide also, if it is there. In traditional SSL VPN, what happened? It is more towards the protecting the uh, network, or it is extending the network. It will directly extend the entire network, and you will not directly see uh, any threat coming. Just a minute, I'll share the screen so it will be much more clear. Yes, I hope my screen is visible. So what happened in the SSL VPN, all your endpoints, if it is your users are sitting in India or outside, they will be connecting through the particular client installed on their machine. Then the IP is assigned by the system to them, and network is extended towards that particular machine. So your users actually accessing your entire network. They will have access to your entire network with the SSL VPN, because you are assigning one of the IP of your network to them, their machine, right? So what happened? So in this case of the VPN, it is kind of exposing, you're exposing entire infrastructure behind the firewall to that particular machine, which is either in India or outside India, to whom you are authenticating this access. So to alternate to that, we have the Enlight Web VPN. In this service, what happened? You don't need to expose anything apart from that application which that user should access. So if you have one URL like esds code for example, portal.esds.co.in, this portal, I just need to provide access to this portal. I don't need to give access to entire esds.co.in. I can provide that portal level access to this user. So that level of reducing the entire what we can say the exposure area can reduce the attack level also, or any kind of threat also to your organization. So that is very much secure. Again, this can be secured with integration with your internal authentication like AD, because we saw one of the area where multi-factor authentication or identity management is very much important. So it is integrated with your AD, LDAP. So only authenticated user can only access. Also, it is protected with multi-factor. So it is generating OTP, it is going on the SMS on their mobile only, so only registered users can access. So understand there are multiple level of security we are trying to provide through a single solution like web VPN, which is not there in SSL VPN. So that is the difference between traditional SSL VPN and the alternative, which is Enlight web VPN. I hope it answered to the question. Yeah. Okay, there is one more question. How frequently do we need to do website security audit? So understand it is recommended at least twice a year. You should do a complete VAPT of your website, but solutions like Vtm Scan. So this is a tool, this is service, right? So most of the nationalized banks and other banks are utilizing this service on sometimes 6 hourly basis or daily basis. So they are scanning their website or their application in each 6 hours or one day. Per day they are scanning that. So this level of frequency is possible with the VTM scan, but if it come to the, when auditor is doing the entire assessment, at least it is recommended to do twice a year, which is one of the service we also provide called a certain audit of, or the virtual VAPT of your web application, where it will be audited by the certain empaneled agency, and it will provide you the certification based on to the the assessment is all the vulnerabilities detected are fixed. So this is very much important to have combination of both. Some physical assessment with the auditors twice a year at least, and a regular audit, like I will recommend minimum scan frequency considering type of attack happening in 2022, and obviously it will start increasing, it will not reduce obviously, because with 5G rollout, the more and more attacks can happen on your website. Time to time, each hacker will try to exploit it. So it is recommended at least to start with weekly scan of VTM scan, and that will help to do the strong website building, improvise your website, your web application time to time, make sure the security is in place. Thank you. I hope it answers to the question. Yes. So with this, I guess we can conclude today's session as our time is already passed. But if anyone has any questions, please put it on a chat, or we can definitely conclude today's session. Team, anything?
No, Raj, I guess.
Okay, great. So thank you, team. Thank you for joining today's session. I hope it was knowledgeable and it was useful for your organization, and definitely for any kind of support or consultation or services which we just explored. We have alternative to each and every service which we try to cover in this session, and definitely you can connect back to us for the further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raj. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sohan.